Time now for a look at the papers once again with Clement Boneho. Good morning. Clement, you're starting out in Nicaragua, where government forces have regained control of the city of Masaya, which has been the center of anti-government protests.
You will live on Monimbo, reads the headline of the editorial in La Prensa. Monimbo is the name of a neighborhood in the town of Masaya, in the city of Masaya, where protesters had set up barricades and where dozens have been killed in recent weeks. The Nicaraguan paper condemns the use of extreme violence by forces loyal to President Daniel Ortega and says that while protesters may have been defeated, they will soon rise again with even more energy to defend their dignity and their freedom. El Nuevo Diario, meanwhile, says that the violent repression must stop. 3 months after the protests began in the country, Nicaragua is on the verge of yet another civil war.
Now, of course, the situation underway in Nicaragua is causing concern around the world.
Indeed, the unprecedented violence in the tiny Central American country makes the front page of today's Libération. You can see a photo of Daniel Ortega and his wife on a billboard. Their faces are covered in red paint. Ortega, basta, enough with Ortega, reads the headline. The former Sandinista revolutionary leader who helped to overthrow the former dictator Anastasio Somoza is slowly becoming the kind of autocrat he once despised, says the paper. A tragic turn of events for the country as Nicaragua is celebrating the 39th anniversary of the Sandinista revolution this Thursday. I'll end with this cartoon in La Prensa. You can see three figures here, three Sandinos named after the early 20th century revolutionary leader Augusto Sandino. The one on the left wears a blue and white headscarf, the colours of Nicaragua. The one in the middle, a red scarf, the collar of the Sandinista revolution in Nicaragua. And the one on the right is covered in blood.
Moving on to our top story here on the program, and that's the state of emergency coming to an end in Turkey 2 years after that botched coup.
That's right. It was first declared on the 20th of July 2016, 5 days after the failed coup against President Erdogan. Daily Hurriyet, Turkey's main opposition paper, reminds us that it was extended 7 times and led to an unprecedented purge in the country. Now that the state of emergency has been officially lifted, will anyone take notice, asks the news website Middle East Eye. A new law actually could see many of its controversial provisions remain in place for at least another 3 years, the website reveals.
But of course, not all papers in the country have been critical.
Well, a majority of papers in Turkey are actually pro-government. The English-language daily Sabah, for instance, thinks that the new legislation will help Turkey to keep up its effective fight against terrorist groups. The paper also hits back at Western critics, saying that France too imposed a state of emergency following a wave of attacks on its own soil.
Moving on to a feel-good story now from Thailand. That's the story of those 12 boys who were rescued from a flooded cave last week. Now, they've been speaking out publicly about their ordeal.
The Bangkok Post calls the boys' rescue a miracle on its front page. You can see it. The wild boars, as they're known, have been released from hospital and they are all in good health, the newspaper tells us. Now, if you remember, their rescue last week was slightly overshadowed by comments made by Elon Musk. The tech billionaire had claimed that a British diver involved in the rescue efforts was a paedophile, an accusation he'd made after the man criticised a submarine that Elon Musk had said he had built as part of their rescue efforts. Well, Elon Musk has now officially apologised, saying his words were spoken in anger. The diver, however, said he was considering suing the billionaire for his comments.
He should. This is not the first time Elon Musk has made silly comments like that. And you're ending on a lighter note now. An unusual story from Japan.
Indeed, and Delano, if you've ever wanted to become a ninja, you could be in luck. A town in Japan is facing an unprecedented ninja shortage. The city of Inga is known for its annual ninja festival, where hundreds of performers wander around the city, all dressed up and showing off their best fighting tricks. The festival attracts hundreds of thousands of tourists every year, but sadly there aren't enough performers. So to attract more people, local authorities are now willing to pay up to $85,000 a year to anyone who wants to become a ninja. So can I sign you up, Delano?
For that price, why not? Clement Boneho, thank you very much for that.